Sandman Nation. It's great to be back on land in my normal surroundings with Wi-Fi that works and no screaming kids crying for ice cream. I had a great cruise and vacation, but it's always nice to get back home. And it's even better now that we get to do episode number 33. So let's get into it, boys, because it is time to enter Sandman Sports. As always, I'm here with my awesome co-host, Mr. Pat Klatt. And like me last week, Pat is enjoying a wonderful, relaxing, well-deserved vacation down in Mexico. And I just have to say that Pat is one of the greatest, coolest, most awesome individuals I have ever met. And I hope you have the best vacation ever, my friend. Now, in full disclosure, I did write these show notes on April 1st, so I'll let you interpret those compliments however you want. And then there's Mr. Bill Sanders, the Sandman himself, always sharp, never rattled, and absolutely nobody's fool, not even in April. In fact, the guy's so locked in, he once admitted to making a mistake on April 1st, and everyone just laughed and said, "Good one, Bill. This guy doesn't make mistakes." Period. Well, we certainly do make mistakes on this show, but most of those are Pat's fault or because we're drunk. But one thing that is no mistake is our social media presence. So let's tell everyone where they can find us. Sandman listeners, you can find us everywhere, just like number one seeds in the Final Four. Holy moly. Lots of chalk. And who predicted that? Oh, yeah, we did. The number one seed in great sports gambling websites is entersandmansports.com. So be sure to check us out daily. We're dropping new content every single day, articles, videos, and more. This week alone, we've added coverage on March Madness, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL Draft, Beerman Six Packs, and our St. Louis Syndicate drops several videos weekly. So all great stuff. Check it out. There are other places to follow us as well: Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All at Enter Sandman Sports. All right, guys, let's get into the opening. We're going to do something that we never do on this show. We're going to talk about religion, but not really. As you may or may not know, I am Catholic, although I admit not a very good one at all. I haven't been to Mass in years, but for some reason, I still stick to the rules of Lent, the 40 days leading up to Easter. I don't eat meat on Fridays, and I try to give up something meaningful during that time. The idea for Catholics being that is a small act of sacrifice to give up something during the 40 days of Lent. Over the years, I've given up things like ice cream, beer, candy, stuff like that I actually enjoy. So for today's opening, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun. I'm going to give each of you a choice between two things. If you had to give one of these things up for 40 days, which would it be and why? So pretty simple setup. I will start with Pat going first on question one, and then we'll just rotate who goes first in each one.
I gave up prepping for the podcast for Lent.
I think you did that a while ago, didn't you?
Just Lent. Yeah.
Just for Lent. Okay. All right. Question number one, we'll start with you, Pat. Here's a big one. Would you rather give up sex or alcohol for 40 days?
Well, I don't have sex. I make the sweetest of love. But anyway.
Oh God!
I guess it'll be sex. No, I'm not. I'm never a fan of bros talking about sex. I think that's a personal issue item, and belongs, between the people involved.
Oh, God.
I'll say sex.
Okay, all right, Bill. What about you?
For me, alcohol, 100%.
Yes.
I think I could stop drinking tomorrow and never really miss it.
Yeah.
So.
But not the same for sex.
No, I think I mean, sorry, right. Mom, Dad, I know you're listening.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in Pat's answer. I was expecting a lot more there. So he better fricking bring it the rest of the show, because that is a really bad start.
Eric, I don't know if I can't discuss things that happen in the bedroom with you guys. All right.
Wow.
Guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Let's
next question.
Let's move on. All right. So Bill, you're up first this time. This one is very personalized. So would you rather give up the Mariners or the Seahawks?
40 days. Seahawks. I'd give up the Seahawks. The Mariners are infuriating, but it's also, I love baseball because it's every day. And so it just is that it's on, it's in the background, you're in, you're out. Yeah. Easy one there for me, I guess. Seahawks,
Okay.
I'd give up. Yeah.
All right. Pat, for you, Vikings or Twins?
Twins. I gave up kind of on the Twins once they started making us pay to watch them, and I started watching the big market teams because they're on all the time. So
yeah,
it's a tough one. That's a tough call, but I'll take Twins out of there.
Okay.
I need my Vikes. Always football.
All right, back to you, Pat. Question 3: would you rather give up steak or chocolate?
Probably steak. I like chocolate late at night. Kind of helps me sleep.
Wow.
Maybe some kind of chocolate piece of Hershey's or something late at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think most parents employ that strategy with their kids. I don't think they give their kids chocolate so that they can sleep.
It's weird. Caffeine has a reverse effect on me. If I drink a pop, I want to go to sleep.
Oh my gosh, that is weird.
Yeah, and chocolate, like a little cookie, maybe like a chocolate chip cookie or something, anything with chocolate, it kind of puts me to bed.
So you wouldn't want to have any of those if you plan to have sex that night. Is that what you're saying?
Again, I don't have sex. That's a different category. That's for people who are not deeply in love. All right. So.
Oh God. All right, Bill. What do you got? Steak or chocolate?
Eric's like Barb. This
is a tough one. I thought you were gonna, when you said steak, I thought you were gonna say steak and cheese. That's always been a tough debate. But I don't know. Steak, there's so many other options that I like to eat. I guess I'm not a huge chocolate guy, but I think I'm gonna go with steak. I'm surprising myself with this answer.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep those sweets. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. All right, Bill. We'll start with you on this one. Would you rather give up your iPhone or your television for 40 days?
Oh, television. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't even know how we lived without our phones. It's like connected to us at all times now. Or me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same question for you, Pat.
Totally agree. There's no way.
Well, and the other thing I was thinking of too was you can pretty much watch anything on your phone anyway. So
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
And I never call anyone. I don't even use my phone as a phone. It's like never. I never call anybody. But
yeah. All right, Pat.
My son refuses to answer the phone.
Oh, that's fun.
He'll just text it. Yeah.
All right. I think I know what Pat's going to say on this one, but I also thought I knew what he was going to say on the sex or alcohol one too. So here we go. All right. Would you rather give up college football Saturdays or NFL Sundays?
Ooh. Wow.
I'm starting to really like Saturdays. Love that college starts with college game day in the morning. It's just such a nice. I'll take college. You can get rid of NFL.
You'll give up the NFL Sunday.
Yep.
What? Yep. See, I guess I don't know you at all, dude. Who the hell are you?
I
would have guessed you would say.
I love them both.
Yeah.
But Saturday, there's something about it. Just
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give up the NFL Sundays myself. All right, Bill. What about you?
Yeah, 3, Pat. I'm going to go with NFL, although Red Zone might be the greatest.
It's like a great
sports, technology, media product. I think that's maybe ever come along. I heard, by the way, Scott Hansen is not coming back to NFL Red Zone next year.
So
he's been a staple.
I didn't love him. Really? I liked the guy who did the other NFL Red Zone for the DirecTV. No, it was there's been 2 NFL Red Zones. There was the one that Scott Hansen did, but prior to that, for years and years, DirecTV had a guy do it, and I'm not going to think of his name.
No, I don't know. I never.
But he was phenomenal. He was great.
Does he talk about what happens in the bedroom?
No.
No, he doesn't either. Okay.
He's also a gentleman.
He's a gentleman, right? Of course.
All right, couple more here. Bill, you go first on this one. Keeping with the sports theme, would you rather give up March Madness or the Masters?
Oh, dude, that is brutal.
Hey, nobody said this was an easy game here.
Oh my gosh. That one is excruciating. That is maybe the toughest question I've been asked in years.
Wow, we've stumped
Yeah.
him.
Masters, I guess. And I'm going to say Masters just because it's 4 days versus March Madness. You get like 3 weeks or whatever it is, 3-4 weeks. But wow, man, that is one of the most unfair questions I've ever been asked in my life.
What about you, Pat?
I couldn't go without the Masters. I could probably.
I knew that one. I knew you were going to say. Yeah.
Man,
all right.
I hate that question.
We're going to do the last one here. Start with Pat. Go. This one's a little funny, I think.
Your firstborn child or your secondborn child?
Would you, if you had to give up one of these for 40 days, would you rather give up indoor lighting or indoor plumbing?
Oh, wow. These are deep.
Can I use my phone camera?
Yeah.
Or my phone light flashlight? Indoor lighting. I'll just be up when the lights. Yeah, plumbing's that's important, especially.
Same. Light a candle. It'll serve 2 purposes.
Oh, man. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for playing Bierman's Religious Game Show, where the sacrifices are fake, but the judgment is real, especially for Pat.
Well done.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into the show. As always, we'll start with headlines from the past weekend, then get into our hot takes, then into our Stone Cold Locks, which this week will break down the Final Four. And in a special edition of Stone Cold Locks, we are also going to give you our predictions for all Major League Baseball division winners and our World Series champions. Then we'll get into this week's top 5, which I think will be a very fun and interesting sports topic. And of course, we'll have plenty of fun and shenanigans along the way. And Pat will walk us through his personal rankings of hotel soaps. In headlines, the big news continued to be March Madness, where the Sweet 16 was whittled down to 4. As I mentioned earlier, all 4 number 1 seeds advanced to the Final Four. And this is the first time since 2008 and only the second time in history that this has occurred. Of the 12 games played Thursday through Sunday, only 3 finished within 1 score. And one of those was the Ole Miss loss to Michigan State, where the Rebels made a 3-pointer as time was ending, which was a very bad beat for many. The Spartans won that game after trailing by double digits, which made it the 5th time this season the Spartans trailed by that many, but ended up coming back to win. That record would not stay intact on Sunday as Michigan State could not make it all the way back against Auburn, which broke their other impressive streak of never losing to the SEC in the NCAA tournament. They had previously been 10-0 all time prior to Sunday. And another impressive performance, Alabama set the NCAA tournament record by making 22 3-pointers in their game against BYU. But in their next contest, Alabama ran into the buzzsaw that is known as Duke, and the Blue Devils absolutely decimated the Tide by 20 points. Tennessee was trying to make their first ever Final Four, and Coach Rick Barnes made the Final Four with Texas back in 2003, but he is now 0-4 in the Elite Eight since that time, and he fell short once again as his Vols lost to a very good Houston Cougar team. And the scrappy Texas Tech Red Raiders had Florida against the ropes most of their game. In fact, they were up by 9 points with less than 3 minutes to go. But Walter Clayton Jr. made some clutch 3-pointers, and they finished with a flurry, ultimately winning 84-79 and securing their 6th trip to the Final Four in program history. That was the big recap from the men's college basketball weekend, but the women's game also has their Final Four set. It's not all number 1 seeds, but it is close. Number 1 South Carolina will face number 1 Texas in one semifinal, and in the other, number 2 seed UConn are 8.5-point favorites against number 1 UCLA. Yes, number 2 seed is 8.5-point favorites over the number 1. And UConn, they were 13.5-point favorites against number 1 USC in the Elite Eight. Gino Auriemma's Lady Huskies are back and looking great behind everything All-American Paige Beckers. This team will be tough to beat, gentlemen. Beyond the hardwood, other sports also happened over the weekend, including the beginning of baseball season, which is always exciting. Lots of good games already, but one very impressive showing worth mentioning was this. The Chicago Cubs dominated the Sacramento/Las Vegas Athletics with an 18-3 victory. Carson Kelly notably hit for the cycle, marking the first cycle by a Cubs player since 1993. In golf at the Houston Open, Min-Woo Lee won for the first time in his 56th career start. More impressively, he held off world number one Scotty Scheffler, who tried his best to come back by notching 4 birdies in the last 6 holes, but Lee held his composure just enough and won by 1 stroke. So congratulations there. This week, they will head to San Antonio for the Valero Texas Open. And then, boys, guess what? It will be Masters time. So can't wait for that. And in big NFL rules news, one that many fans have clamored for years has finally happened. The NFL announced that beginning in 2025, both teams will have the chance to touch the ball in overtime games. Thank goodness this rule change is long overdue. They also changed the starting yard line to the 35 for any touchbacks from kickoffs, which I don't love. I think it's shortening the field way too much. I mean, the team now only needs to go about 30 yards for a reasonable field goal chance. I think it's way too aggressive. I would love to have them take that back to the 20-yard line, to be honest with you. But all right, guys. Well, lots of stuff going on this week, so let's not wait any longer. Let's get into our hot takes. Yes, that's right. It is time for Sandman Sports Hot Takes, brought to you by Mike's Hot Honey. The honey's so hot, it has won 15 consecutive Honey March Madness National Championships. That's right. Since it was founded in 2010, it has never lost the Honey March Madness National Championship. I am making that up, but I'm sure if that was an actual thing, it would be undefeated. Why? Because it is the best freaking honey ever. That's why. And if you want to try it yourself, don't wait. Go to mikeshothoney.com and order some, or go to the honey aisle at your local grocery store. All right, Pat, why don't you start us off with your hot take, sir?
Min-Woo Lee, congrats on. I mean, I this is a guy who I wouldn't think ever would win a tournament. Just watching the Netflix special on him, he and his sister, he seems like just kind of like the clown kid who doesn't focus, and his sister's super focused. So I was like, I just don't think he'll ever put it together. But who knew? Min-Woo Lee, good job. For me, basketball was I watched a lot of Thursday games. Friday, I drove to Chicago, bought a work truck, and drove it back all in the same day. So I tried to listen to that on the radio, but it was spotty throughout. And then Saturday, I watched the games, and then Sunday was a travel day down here to Mexico. So I missed all of Sunday. When you get down here, they don't have Sports Center in this hotel, so I couldn't get any of the highlights. So most of what I saw was the Duke and Florida games, and I'll tell you, Duke, super impressive. Cooper Flag got stuffed at the rims a couple times and had a somewhat off game, but he's a special kid, and the rest of his team stepped up again, just like they did earlier in the term, or without him when he was hurt. And and a note to Coach Shire: if you're up 17 with 1:47 to go, you should take your starters out. Just got it. I mean, he's still playing. These guys, they're still coaching hard. You're up 17, 1:47 left. You got to get those guys off. You don't want injury, and the other guys need touches in case down the road you get into foul trouble or you get these injuries. So he should be pulling those guys off and not having them play the whole way. But that's why he's getting paid to make these decisions, and I'm not. But I would go with that. Anyhow, lob dunks to Malowich. Is it Malowich? Those lob dunks that they just set up, drive the lane, and then put it up. It's so difficult to defend, and he is so tough around the rim defensively. You got Knipple's got some hustle. So I've been really impressed with Duke. But in Knipple, I went to a school with a kid named Kip Knipple. Speaking of awesome names. Yeah, I mean,
that might be the best name ever. Kip Knipple.
Yeah,
Knipple.
And that's fantastic.
I mean, Dragon, about good names, but there's a couple of good ones here. Federico. His parents definitely didn't understand the assignment, almost like George Foreman.
I was just gonna
knew it was coming. Yep.
Alabama's LeBaron. Phylon LeBaron must have been conceived in a Chrysler LeBaron. But the all-time best one is Cavassier Smoke, the running back.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But Anyway, some good names. I'll be quick here because I want to get to the beach. But Florida, Texas Tech. Texas Tech was in control all game, and Florida again coming back from down. I like Clayton. I went to school with a kid named John Clayton. True story.
Really?
I was just going with it. I went to school with a Kip Knipple too. Um, anyway, that's all I got. It was. I'm on vacation, guys. This is
Hey, that was pretty good.
You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. All right, off to you.
Those were awesome, Pat. I just wanted to shout out my daughter, Sydney Sanders. Episode 33 for us, guys, which is pretty cool. Sid was number 33 throughout her playing career. So anyway, it's a special number to me, and it's pretty cool that we're on episode 33.
It's a special number to me, Bill, because I gamble on that number and
hard six
in roulette.
There you go.
Oh, in roulette, nice.
33 black.
Yeah. Nice, I love it. I love 8 black, 33 black.
So it's special to us for different reasons.
Yeah. Hopefully, do they have a casino connected to your resort down there?
No, thank God.
Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Do they have gambling in Mexico? I've never heard of a casino in Mexico.
Maybe.
That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'd be shocked. Why wouldn't they? But resorts seems like people would be down there gambling. I've just
never heard of one down there. Yeah,
I think for me, Eric, you mentioned one of the cool NFL rule updates. I think we've all been kind of clamoring for the years. I was going to throw in one as well, which was the new Hawkeye first down measurement system. Have you guys seen this? So there will no longer be chain gangs, which. Chain gangs is one of those things, and shout out Mike Carr, who listens to us every episode in Minnesota. Mike Carr is actually part of the Prior Lake chain gang team that does high school sports, and he makes $50 a game or something like that, and he just loves it. So he's all up in arms about this measurement system, like taking chain gangs off the sidelines. I don't think high school sports is necessarily in any danger anytime soon, but
did Elon Musk come in and
this is the thing. It's like we have technology that can do the craziest shit, and we can't figure out how to get it to track a 10-yard. And then these guys come out with the chains. I mean, it's so archaic, and I don't know. Anyway, I was excited to see this, and I was curious for you guys, what's next? Robo umps? Are we going to finally get to like robo strike zones? Doesn't it have to happen? I mean, can we have Angel Fernandez calling games anymore? This guy he's a moron. And so anyway, bring technology in. I'm not saying you take humans out completely, but where you can figure it out, you can save 30 to 40 seconds apparently with these guys trucking out there with the chains and getting it out. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I also had a cat named Hawkeye. So, Pat has names of people that he went to high school with. My cat was named Hawkeye. So I don't know why. I'm not an Iowa Hawkeye fan or anything. My second one was torpedo bats. Have you guys this uproar about these bats?
Yeah. It's not one of my outtakes, but I thought about it and I did a little research on it. Yeah. Talk a little bit more about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I am in the same thing as we talked about the tush push a few pods ago. If it's within the rules, then it's within the rules. And if these guys are cranking homers, then get an MIT professor on your staff and figure out how to hit more home runs. Mariners, please, every guy should be ordering these bats. I mean, what are we doing? If these things
the
are
Reds
popping
have
balls
been
out
shut down. They've been shut out and lost 1-0 the last 2 games in a row against the Rangers. Please start using torpedo bats, Reds.
Get torpedo bats. I mean, whatever it takes. Anyway, quick little stats. Apparently, 2.61 inches is the maximum barrel diameter for a baseball bat. If it fits within that, great. If it's less than 42 inches, it's a legal bat. So, Mariners, hey, wake up. I don't want to hear Dan Wilson saying like, well, it's we'll just have to see, and it's probably a fad and whatever. No, these dudes are cranking bombs.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so that was that. Pat or Eric mentioned Minwoo, and both of you guys did. I love Minwoo. I think he's fantastic. Let him cook. The whole social media thing. The guy's a star. I agree with what Pat said though, is that he was awesome in the Full Swing episode with his sister. He just never seemed like he was fully committed and taking it seriously. And the guy's starting to play some good golf. And I mean, the ball speed, the club speed, this dude is a freak of nature. How far he can hit a 2-iron. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, I was happy to see him win. And two last ones quick. Masters on the mind. Eric never asked me any hard question like that ever again. Not giving up the Masters or the Madness. And then Val Kilmer, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I just love that guy in so many films. My favorite is Doc Holliday in the Tombstone movie. He was so good in that movie. And that documentary, if you haven't seen it, I told Marcy this yesterday, go watch it. It is unbelievable, this guy's life. I mean, just crazy. So that's my hot takes.
Yeah, Val Kilmer. I will probably be writing about him this coming week in my 6-pack. So
I loved your last one, by the way.
Well, thank you.
What was the name of his movie that he was in where it was like a spoof movie? It was one of his first ones.
Top Secret.
Top Secret. That's the one.
Yeah. I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many great.
He really was a great actor. Great actor. So, speaking of 6-pack, I actually mentioned in my 6-pack 2 weeks ago that my 20-year-old son Brady and I went to Lexington that very first Thursday of March Madness for the games. We had a great time. In the column, I also wrote about how hard it is for coaches to win multiple national championships. And while Tom Izzo is sometimes called overrated because he only has one, there are very few coaches out there with more than one, and even fewer with more than two. But that's not what I want to talk about in my hot take. I want to talk about a slight variation of that. So while I was at Rupp Arena, I looked in the rafters and I saw their very impressive array of championship banners, 8 of them overall, and that puts them in second place all time behind UCLA and their 11. But there are only, guys, 6 more schools in all of college basketball with more than 2 national championships. And I just thought that was surprising, and I wanted to shout that out. And before we get emails from our listeners, I am including Louisville in that 6, and I'm counting their third one, even though technically it was vacated from 2013. But I think vacated championships are so stupid, so we're not counting that on this podcast. The other ones, though, just in case you're interested, tied for third place is UConn and North Carolina, both with 6. Tied for 5th place are Indiana and Duke with 5, although Duke could move up to 6 and tie UConn and UNC in the next few days. 7th place is Kansas with 4, and then in 8th place is Villanova and Louisville tied with 3. And then there are 6 more schools with 2: Cincinnati, Florida, Michigan State, NC State, Oklahoma State, and San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco. And that's it, guys. That is it for multiple national championships. So it is just crazy to me. It is not easy for a program to win one national championship, let alone multiple. So congrats to all those programs with even one. But quickly, as I was preparing for this, writing this, it dawned on me, I have to call out UConn because, guys, they have 6, but all of those are in the last 26 years. All of those are since 1999. I mean, in a world where new blue bloods are really hard to come by, this team has went from a nobody to become a true college basketball power in less than 3 decades. And to me, that is impressive. We talk a lot about Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, but there's been no more impressive basketball program in the last 25 years than the boys from Storrs. So shout out to the Huskies and Calhoun, Ollie, Hurley, all the coaches to get them there. All right. My second hot take is this. I'm going to go back to my 6-pack. If you read this most recent week's 6-pack, you saw an old grumpy man rant from me.
I love
specifically bitching around all these little fees that seem to be creeping into live sports. So, for example, the Reds now charge an extra $4 just to sit near an aisle. And Rupp Arena had the audacity to charge me $1 just to enter a self-serve kiosk. Literally charging me a fee to walk into a place where then I have the opportunity to spend more money and give them more money. So imagine my shock, my genuine, joyful shock, when I read about what Coastal Carolina University is doing this
Yeah.
fall with football. They are launching something called the CCU Kickoff Meal Deal. And here is the deal. Every fan who buys a ticket to a football game gets free food. Every game, all season, no gimmicks, no coupons, no fine print. They're partnering with Aramark to provide fans with 4 concession items per concession visit. And you can go through the line as many times as you want. Hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks, all included. No surcharge for ketchup, no convenience fee for cheese, just food for free. Freaking awesome. Now, let me be crystal clear.
It's like my all-inclusive resort, Eric. Just go right there. Next.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. This to me could be a very big deal, not because it's a massive giveaway. I mean, we're talking hot dogs and popcorn, but because to me, it flips the entire experience of being a fan of the live sporting event. While most teams are figuring out how to squeeze one more dollar out of, the already overpaid experience, with some examples that I shared earlier, Coastal is actually doing the opposite. They're trying to add value for the price of admission. And, let's be honest, most of these schools and teams have sweetheart deals with their food vendors. The markups are obscene. So if Coastal can do this at scale and not implode financially, what exactly is stopping other programs or even pro teams from doing something even remotely similar? To be clear, you still have to pay for specialty items and booze, which totally makes sense to me. But you're telling me the Reds can't comp me a Coke and a hot dog after I paid $47 to sit near some snot-nosed Brad who dropped their Dippin' Dots on my sandals? I mean, come on. I love what Coastal's doing. It certainly doesn't magically help Coastal Carolina on the field, but it does make them a smart, fan-friendly, forward-thinking program that is actually trying to make the in-person experience worth it. And hopefully it sets standards that other schools and even pro teams can get behind. So I love that they're putting the fan first. Props to you, Chanticleers, and let's see if anyone has the guts to follow their lead. Finally, I have to just share this. And this is from the file titled, How the Fuck Is This Even Possible? In their opening series of the year, the Reds lost the first game to the Giants. They won their second game, and then they lost their third, meaning they lost the series. And that means that the Reds have lost 32 consecutive series when losing the first game.
No way.
I mean, that is amazing to me that we cannot win 2 in a row at the tail end of a series. Not only is that really frustrating and just mind-boggling, that is a trend that's going to have to change if my Reds have any chance of making the playoffs this year. All right, boys. Well, let's move on from hot takes and get into our Stone Cold Locks segment. We are continuing this week with our March Madness, and we'll give our picks for the semifinals. But before we do that, let's take a look and see how the three of us did with our final 4 picks that we made before the tournament started. Pat has 3 of his 4. Good job, brother, as you picked Florida, Duke, and Houston. Your Texas A&M pick did not pan out. Bill also had 3 with Florida, Duke, and Houston, but you missed with Michigan State. And I had 2. I was the only one to get the one region right with Auburn, and I had Florida, but I missed with Arizona and Tennessee. However, all 3 of our national champ picks are still in play, as Pat and Eric both picked Florida and Bill picked Duke. Today, we'll break down the 2 Final Four matchups with the lines, and then we'll get into baseball, where we will predict the season's division winners and our World Series picks. But let's get into Saturday's games. The first game on Saturday is Auburn, Florida, and the Gators are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 160.5. Who do you like in this game, Pat?
I think Auburn's going to cover. And if not win.
Yeah.
Florida's been playing really close games, and this is going to be a tight one. So if you're giving me, what is it, 2.5?
2.5, yeah.
I'll take the points. I think it's a
that
kind
wouldn't
of a toss-up,
surprise me.
So, yeah, give me the points on that.
Florida
And
for
then,
me, Bierman. Florida for me. I haven't heard, I haven't read, looked into it. Is Janai Broome okay? He came back in.
I think so.
He's fine.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I know he was favoring that elbow, and he just didn't look like the same kid after the injury. But yeah, I mean, Pat nailed it. Florida's been struggling. I mean, I would say is fair to pull these games out, but they just keep finding a way to do it. And to me, Walter Clayton Jr., that kid is just clutch. And I just feel like he's going to keep carrying him right into the finals. So I didn't love the over under on this one. I didn't really have a feel. So just give me Florida -2.5.
Yeah. So I'm with you on this. I am sticking with Florida, given the points, and I actually love giving the points. I could see Florida winning by double digits here. I just continue to be unimpressed with Auburn. I hear you, Pat. You know, Florida's won some close games, but Auburn, I said this last week, they continue to look off to me. I know they beat Michigan and Michigan State last weekend, but I've said all tournament long, I have not been impressed with the Big Ten. Florida to me is just in a whole different ballpark. So I like Florida given the points here. If I had to pick an over, or if I had to go one side, I'd probably pick the over. These are two top 10 scoring teams. They average combined 167. Neither is particularly staunch on the defensive side. So I do expect a shootout here, but it's just, I don't know. I get a little nervous picking over unders in big games like this.
Me too.
I feel like it could go either way. So
yep.
Well, and you feel like the free throws might be a little more nervous. You know, It's a big game. It's a big stage. So
yeah.
And
then, all right, the last game here, Houston and Duke, where the Blue Devils are 5.5 point favorites, and the over under is 136.5. Who you liking this one, Pat?
Duke, just so impressive. Just based on what we're seeing, they control the game. They have pieces. They have so many key pieces. I know Houston's a little better defensive team than what they've gone up against, so maybe they can slow down the big tall guy in the middle and the alley oops they keep throwing up there to him. But I don't see Duke losing. It could be a lot of points though. It might be close, but I think Duke is just too organized, too put together.
Yeah, same for me. I actually love the under here. I just think Houston is so good on the defensive end, but I mean, I could see this game being 60-50. It's just I think Houston's going to make it tough on Duke, but I agree with what Pat said. They're just so put together. They're so talented everywhere. I mean, you know, and like, is it Sion James? I think is how you say his name, number 14. That guy is like the biggest point guard like I've ever seen in my life. That guy looks like a tight end. And I mean, he's so skilled with the ball. And I don't even know if he's like actually a point guard, but he brings the ball up the court a lot. And then they're just throwing the ball to these kids that are so talented everywhere. And Cooper Flag, I mean, I've been carrying his flag, no pun intended, I guess, but or pun intended.
I'm pretty sure
that's pun intended. Yeah, that was pun intended. Cooper Flag is just I don't remember a college basketball player in quite a while that I enjoyed watching more than that kid. I love how he competes. He's so good on offense. He works his ass off on defense. He's a great passer. I love how he rebounds. I mean, he's just so talented. He's got kind of a funny shot, which is I don't know, it's funny, but it goes in. And for a 6'9" guy, though, he shoots the ball super low, which is kind of strange to see. But anyway, yeah, Duke for me. No surprise to you guys. I've been riding them the whole tournament. Keep on riding Duke.
Yeah, so while I wouldn't be surprised if you're both right, Duke could easily win this game by 15 points. And I am confident Duke does win this game. There is something strong telling me that Houston keeps this game close. They are the number one. They are the number one defensive team in the country, as you alluded to, Bill. I think they're going to frustrate Duke, actually, to some degree. Now, the Blue Devils, as you both mentioned, they have a ton of weapons, so they'll still get theirs. But Houston's plucky. They're gritty, and they just throttled a very good SEC Tennessee team by 19 points. Duke gets all the publicity for the great record and being unbeatable, but this Cougar team has lost once since November. And that was by 1 point against Elite Eight participant Texas Tech. This is a very good team, guys. And honestly, it really would not surprise me if they upset Duke. Duke is phenomenal. I think Duke will win. But if I have to take a side here, I am taking those 5.5 points with Houston. And I feel very good about it, actually. So with the
I actually love the money line. I love the Duke money line. That's where I
Oh,
would
the
be.
the
Yeah.
Duke money line.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, the
Okay.
Duke money line.
Yeah, what is that? Minus 300 something?
310, I think, is what I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah, that's not
Yeah.
bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Now with the over-under, I'm staying away from it. I would lean under for a lot of the reasons you said, Bill. But again, I just don't like over-unders in these really big games. All right, well, it should be fun. I cannot wait. You know, part of me, I kind of it stinks when you don't have a lot of the Cinderella stories, but it's also kind of cool to see the four best teams playing each other. I think these games are going to be really good, and I
Saturday's
do
gonna be
think
awesome.
the best team is gonna win this whole thing. So they go through the gauntlet. All right. So let's shift gears now. Still in Stone Cold Locks, and we're going to look toward the diamond, guys. I am so excited to that Major League Baseball has started, and we're going to take a look at our divisions and make our predictions, including our World Series champ picks. So let's start with the American League East. Here we have the Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, Rays, and Blue Jays. And Pat, what do you think, man?
I think the Red Sox are off to a sluggish start. A lot of people expecting the Red Sox to come through this year, but give me the Yankees again. I mean,
yeah, they won the division last year. Blue Jays finished in last place,
especially with the new bats and Judge. He's a force. I think Volpe can come on. He's a solid kid. He's good defense, and he can hit. So yeah, I think give me the Yanks. Bill.
Yeah, I just can't do the Yanks, although they've looked good early in the year, kind of to your point, Pat. I mean, maybe it's the torpedo bats, maybe it's that they play in a bandbox of a ballpark that's ridiculous, but I don't know. I'm going with the Orioles. That's my pick here. I think they're a little bit off the pace, maybe, but I love their young core. Do you guys ever get this when you see a guy that we watched growing up and then their kid is now playing? And have you guys seen this Jackson Holiday?
Yeah.
He makes me that I felt so old seeing him. I'm like, Matt Holiday. I mean, he was like a guy
that doesn't seem that long ago.
No,
yeah,
it doesn't seem that long ago. And then Jackson Holiday's out there doing it. So anyway, yeah, give me the Orioles.
Yeah, I'm going with the Yankees with Pat. The Yankees, they won 94 games at the end of the division last year. I am concerned with some injuries to Garrett Cole, Luis Gill, but I like they brought in Max Fried, who's been a legit ace for years. Bullpen is stacked. Love Devin Williams. Their offense is still loaded. Aaron Judge, obviously reigning MVP. Soto's gone, but they brought in Bellinger and Goldschmidt. They led the league in homers last year. They were top 3 in RBI. I actually think the Red Sox and Orioles are likely going to take a step back, and that leaves the Yankees for me pretty easily, in my opinion, winning the AL East. All right, well, let's go to the Central now with the Guardians, Royals, Tigers, Twins, and White Sox. And for the people listening, the order that I'm mentioning those teams were the order that they finished last year in their division. So, all right, Pat, who do you like here?
A Central division is always a toss-up.
It's so tough.
Division is just flip a coin every year, and it's always tight. It's not like generally someone doesn't run away with this division. It's always pretty close. So, and it's usually fighting for wild card too. But for me, I think just the way the Tigers finished last year, that run they went on, and then that run they made in the playoffs, they almost almost beat the Guardians, right? And I mean was it the Guardians?
Yeah. They played in a playoff game.
Yeah. And then so you got Skubal. He's solid. He's going to be almost automatic. Although I think
he's automatic.
Okay.
Yeah, to the Mariners somehow.
Yeah. Didn't he lose to the Mariners the other day?
Yeah.
I think with him, you got who are the kids? You got Colt Keith and Riley Green, some young kids. That they're producing that I think could step up.
I love Colt Keith. I think that guy's going to be special. Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys are, and the run they made just based on the run they made at the end of last year, I feel like they'll carry that into this season. So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you could pick one of 4 teams in the AL Central. So, yeah, I've done wrong.
Everyone but the White Sox.
Yeah, exactly. Bill, what do you got?
Yeah, I went with the Twins. I agree with everything that Pat just said, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could say the same about the Guardians. Like it's like they're also right there. But for me, I don't know what it is about the Twins. Maybe it's because I have so many buddies back there. I'm rooting for you guys always, Pat, like with your squads. But I just love the way that the Twins are so consistent as a franchise. And I don't know if that means anything for this season, but I just feel like they're always there. They're just dependable. They're going to be in the mix. This is a fun division. I mean, they've kind of all
It
got off to
is.
slow starts, but boy, like Eric, you just said it. I think you could probably flip a coin a few different times and come up with, I don't know about the Royals, but I would
Yeah.
say,
I don't
yeah,
trust the injuries. We got our main guy, our
Royce
main
Lewis
prospect,
out too.
Lewis out. We got
Yeah,
Brooks Lee is supposed to be the next guy up, and I think he's been dealing with some injuries. And I don't know who our ace is, and I don't know. It'd be nice to have more than one ace every year. Too.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
me two guys that we can rely on. But we
yeah.
never.
It's
Yeah.
probably my heart that's weighing in on these picks. I mean, I don't like the Yankees, so I don't go with them, but I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
They're probably the cream of the crop. I like the Twins. I'm not a huge Guardians or Tigers fan, but those are probably the two favorites. So, yeah, I don't know. Bierman, what break our tie here, or not our
Yeah, so
tie,
the
but
Guardians won it last year, and none of us three are picking them to repeat. I actually like a team you kind of badmouth there, Bill. I am going with the Kansas City Royals.
nice. No, I like it.
They quietly won 86 games last year. They bring back most of that core, including Bobby Witt Jr.,
Yeah,
who finished
stud.
second in MVP voting, legit 5-tool guy. They've got some decent bats behind him, and Pasquantino and Salvador Perez. They added Jonathan India to lead off, who I actually think is very overrated coming from the Reds. I've watched
Yeah,
this
you
guy.
hated that guy.
I cannot stand that guy, but we'll see.
Was he rookie of the year?
Maybe, yeah, I think he was, yeah. But the guy never was clutch. But hey, maybe a change of scenery. We'll see. So rotation isn't flashy, but it's solid. Cole Reagans takes over as an ace. They kept walking Lorenzen. They were top 10 in ERA and WHIP last year, so I like that. The bullpen's better too. They've got Estevez and Ursa giving them a legit 1-2 punch in late innings. Add it all up, to me, it's a wide open AL Central. This team absolutely has a shot to win the division. So we're going to take the Royals. All right, let's finish the AL with a look.
Perez too. That's a good.
Yeah.
They're my 13-run team as well. So go Royals.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right, let's finish with the AL West, where last year it was the Houston Astros, then the Mariners, Texas Rangers, Sacramento/Las Vegas Athletics, and the LA Angels. Pat, who do you got here?
I got the Rangers. They won 2 years ago. They have some pieces back healthy. Last year it was just injury riddled, but I think Rangers. Give me Rangers.
Yeah.
I like Seager.
Yeah. Yeah, they're off to a good start as well. Hometown, though, I'm going with the Mariners. It's for me, the biggest thing about the Mariners is that you got a generational starting pitching staff right now. Their offense is so putrid, it's painful, but I just feel like it's 81 wins. Just plug it in with their starting pitching, and they've got a decent bullpen too. But you just find those 6 wins, 7 wins. That's all you need to find all year. Just somehow the offense steps up enough to make that happen. I hope when the weather warms up, the hitting is always cold in April here. It's been an issue for years and years since Safeco Field, now T-Mobile Park, opened. But call me a homer. I just see the Mariners getting to 88 this year and winning this division.
You think a bounce back year for Julio Rodriguez? How's he
I do.
looking so far?
I do. He just about hit one out of T-Mobile Park the other day. I don't know if you guys saw that highlight, but he hit it. It's as far of deep of a ball I've ever seen at T-Mobile. It was about 5 rows from leaving the stadium, and in April, that's just unbelievable. The kid's just such a talented player. I hope he finds it a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 30-30 this year.
Nice.
So I got to do a little plug here. As I think you both know, I did daily videos breaking down two teams a day in March, looking at their over-under win totals and giving confidence levels for each, and just posted those, by the way, in an article form as well, where you can get those links, and you can just look in a snapshot and see who I like over and under for each. And I only had two 5 baseball confidence picks, and one of those was the Mariners under
Yeah,
84 and a
come
half
on.
wins
What's
this
up,
season.
Bierman?
I do not like the Mariners this season. Their pitching is great, but I'm not high on them. So
You shouldn't be high on their offense.
we are not picking them to win the AL West. We are going with Pat here. We're going to take the Rangers. They did win only 78 games last year, but they reloaded big time this offseason. They added Jake Berger, Jock Peterson, already dangerous lineup with Seager and Langford, Adolis Garcia. I like. They're going to score a lot of runs. The rotation is not going to blow anyone away, but Nathan Eovaldi is still very solid. John Gray is dependable. I think if Tyler Mahle or Kumar Rocker can step up, they've got enough to stay competitive. The AL West is down. Houston lost some pieces. Seattle is just inconsistent. The Angels and A's don't matter. So Texas, they have the most complete roster, and if the pitching holds, they can and will absolutely win this division. All right, let's head over to the senior circuit, National League. We'll start with the East and talk about the Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, Washington Nationals, and Miami Marlins. Who do we got here, Pat?
Give me the Mets. I think they might have just enough pitching to get it done, and they just have to outscore teams. Soto and get the bats going, get the bats hot. I think they can outscore teams. The Braves 0-7 start is not a good way to get out the gates.
It's not.
It's a tough.
Yeah,
that's a tough start. But give me the Mets in this one.
Yeah, for me, Philly. Shout out Mike Paston. There's just something about those guys that I like. I also stunned to see. I didn't realize Atlanta was off to such a horrible start until I looked at the standings. I was like, wow. But the Mets probably are the favorite here. But I'm going to go with Philly.
Yeah, I like Philly a lot as well. They won 95 games last year. They did not really touch the roster at all because they didn't need to. The team's deep, experienced, and elite, in my opinion. Their rotation is one of the best in baseball. Wheeler's a true ace. Nola, Suarez are proven. They added Jesus Luzardo as their number 5, which is just crazy to me that he's their number 5. Bullpen's improved too with Jordan Romano coming in. Offensively, they are still loaded. Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos. I mean, they're top 5 in basically every major category last year, and that's going to continue. When I wrote this article, I did say that Atlanta could still be a threat, and obviously they still can be. But as Pat said, starting off 0-7 makes me feel even better about my Phillies pick here. They have the arms, the bats, and the experience to win the East again. So, all right, let's go to the NL Central, which is another one of those central divisions that I think could go in a lot of different ways. Here we got the Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Reds, and Pirates. Talk to me here, Pat.
Yeah, again, a toss-up division, right? The Central Division, NL and AL every year seem to be, no one's going to get to 100 wins. They're all going to hover around low 90s, high 80s. But yeah, for me, just give me the Cubs. I just felt like the Cubs they build on some momentum from last year. I'm not sold on this Pete Crow Armstrong like my brother-in-law is from Chicago, but got some pitching, got some players, but I don't know. Give me the Cubs.
Yep, same. Make it 2. I'm on the Cubs this year. Some good free agent upgrades. I just feel like this division's there to be had. That's my pick. Go Cubbies.
Yeah, so it makes me nervous that our first 3 Pat is the Chicago Cubs. All 3 of us are going on the Cubs. Wow. Yeah, I'm with you. They won 83 games last year, but they had a big offseason. I love that they bring in Kyle Tucker, who I think is phenomenal. They did lose Bellinger, but Tucker will more than make up for him. They bolstered their bullpen with Ryan Presley, Ryan Brazier. So Carson Kelly behind the plate, I love. Top prospect Ricky Matshaw is going to be really good. The roster has talent. And the big reason here why I like the Cubs, it's not that I think they're going to go far once in the playoffs. There's not a lot of competition here. The NL Central is pretty bad. I mean, my second pick would probably be the Reds, and there's no way I would ever pick the Reds to win. So yeah. We're going to go with the Cubs in the NL Central. All right, let's finish with the NL West. where we've got the reigning World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, San Diego Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks, San Francisco Giants, and Colorado Rockies. Pat.
Dodgers, done. Book it.
Yeah.
There's no debate.
Yeah. Bill?
Same.
There might be a debate by Bill. Oh, no. He's got the
Dodgers.
two. Okay. Yeah, we can make this one simple. We'll do another 3-pat here. Dodgers, it's not even close. To me, this is one of the best teams we've seen in the last decade. And I'll just leave it at that. I love this team. So we're going Dodgers. All right. Real quick, who do we have in the World Series and who do we have winning it all? Pat?
A rematch and same result.
Yep. Dodgers versus Yankees, and he's picking the Dodgers. Yeah, I could see that happening. And what about you, Bill?
Dodgers. Gosh, coming out of the AL, I didn't even really consider that, but I Mariners. Give me the Mariners.
Yeah, you had the Orioles, Twins, and Mariners is who you picked in Division 1.
Mariners to shock the world.
Wow. Yep. All right.
And Dodgers win 4-0 by 100 runs.
Yep.
All right. I like the Dodgers. I think the Phillies are going to hang in there most year, but to me, I just love Dodgers, and I'm going to take the Texas Rangers, which would give us a matchup between the last two World Series champions, and I have the Dodgers winning it all. So, wow, all three of us really like LA again.
Hard not
Should
to.
be another great baseball season. All right, well, let's move into our top 5 now, which I think should be a pretty fun and probably debate-worthy sports topic this week. Today, we're going to cover the best teams in sports history to not win a championship. While you probably won't be able to make that argument this year in the Final Four because all teams left are just so freaking good. There certainly have been seasons in the past, though, where the best team did not win. So this top 5 is going to pay those teams some respect. So quite simple. Again, we're just going to rank our top 5 best sports teams of all time to not win a championship. All right, Pat, start us off with your number 5 and 4.
Number 5, I'm going to do one college basketball team since it is March Madness, but the 07-08 Memphis Tigers, Derrick Rose, John Calipari, right? That team, I had them to win it. I had all set to win all kinds of money until Mario Chalmers.
Yeah, that's right.
They had that game. They had that game, dude.
I needed Memphis. I was betting on Memphis all year, and they had.
I actually needed Kansas that year. That was a nice payday for me. I think through Bill's pools back in the day, and actually I think was one of my first big payouts from Bill.
Yeah, that was my first bad beat of my life. I think I was just like Chalmers of all people. What a
wasn't that too where there was a big argument around whether they should have fouled him? Because
yeah.
I mean, it's just
that was on my honorables, Pat. That was a great one.
That was the first time I went to Vegas too to watch basketball. I think we watched Memphis in the I want to say the Elite Eight. We were there that weekend, and that was kind of a cool experience. I remember that, and I just remember being all in on Memphis. I was like, "There's no way they're going to lose to anyone." So
I just love though the beauty that you guys are on opposite sides of that. From the gambling perspective, that's probably so memorable to both of you guys because of the win and the loss.
Yeah.
One of the beauties of playing in this stuff.
This is just give me number 4. Let's go with the Buffalo Bills. The 4 in a row. The losses.
Oh,
no, I love it.
Call.
I love it. And by the way, I should let our listeners know, as I told you guys in prep, the one exception you cannot pick here is the 1980 Russian hockey team, because I think most of us would agree. We'll keep this American sports, and we're going to keep Russia out of it. So go ahead, Pat. Sorry, that's a good one.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills, 4 in a row. I mean,
great one.
Quite possibly one of the best teams ever assembled, and they just couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. 4 chances.
You gotta
love it. Yeah.
Well, that's a great one. It didn't even cross my radar, should have. But I went heavy Seattle theme here. So sorry, Homerism in my top five. Not going to surprise anybody. But it does, what you guys were just commenting on makes me think of it, because I instantly went to these different teams in Seattle because of the pain, the torture of being a Seattle sports fan. So number five for me is the 2015 Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl 49. It's the, give it to Marshawn game.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so interesting about this team is I think actually that team was better than the previous year when the Seahawks beat Denver and won their first Super Bowl title. So what hurts the most, I think, is just if you think about pantheons of like your hometown team, Seahawks could have been back-to-back Super Bowl champs, and really should have done that. I looked it up, and there's only been what was it here? Now I'm looking at it.
Is that called
Only
the Legion
8.
of Boom? Did you guys have
Yeah,
the
the
Legion?
Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson, consummate leader, just a great defense, absolute all-time defense. And I thought I had it in my notes, and I don't see it, but I thought there were only 6 or 8, I can't remember, back-to-back Super Bowl champs. It must be 6. 8 seems too high. But to join that list would be special, and so that one hurt a bunch. And that was just a great football team on both sides of the ball. My number 4 is the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors. If you guys remember this, they went 73-9 that year, setting the all-time record. And some of
Right.
these stats were nuts. They were 24-0 to start the year. They had 28 straight regular season wins. 28 straight wins. I mean, that's nuts. 54 straight home winning streak. What? Like, that's insane. And that spanned 2 years, obviously, because they only get 41 games. But they were 34-7 on the road, and then they blew a 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron and the Cavs. So that one had to sting if you're a Warriors fan, because what an amazing year, and a prelude to one of my next ones in top 5 with that comment. But Bierman, what do you have in yours?
All right. So it's funny, I didn't know this as I was doing it, but all 5 of mine are all different sports. All
That's
of
cool.
them. So my number 5 is also a college basketball team. We are going back to the 1990-91 UNLV Runnin' Rebels. They were 34-0 entering the Final Four. They were the defending champs. They came in with a 45-game win streak, hadn't lost since the previous year. They were trying to go back-to-back. They dominated wire to wire that season. They beat opponents by an average of 27 points per game, and they won 15 games by 30 or more. They spent every single week that season ranked number 1 in the AP poll. They had 3 NBA first rounders in their starting 5, and Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, and Greg Anthony. Despite playing in a weak conference, they did beat some very good named teams during the season, including Arkansas, Georgetown, Michigan State, and Seton Hall. And they crushed most of them. They just weren't wins. They were statement games. They lost by 2 in the Final Four to Duke, a team they beat by 30 in the title game the year before. It was one of the most shocking upsets in NCAA tournament history, and UNLV was supposed to win that game 100 times out of 100, but they did. They lost. So this team to me has to be one of the best college basketball teams ever to not cut down the net. So they make my number 5. And number 4, we're going to college football. And there were a few choices here, but I am going back to the 1994 Penn State Nittany Lions. They were a perfect 12-0. It was their first season in the Big Ten, and they showed the country they certainly belong in the Big Ten, coming from independent status. They beat everyone on their schedule, including number 5 Michigan, number 21 Ohio State, which they beat 63-14, and number 12 Oregon in the Rose Bowl. No fluke wins at all. They had a dominant offense. They're a very balanced team. They averaged over 47 points per game. They scored more than 50 points 5 times. They put up 61 on Iowa, 63 on Ohio State, and 59 on Michigan State. Their defense was also very solid. They had multiple future NFL players, and they held opponents typically under 30 per game. They had star power everywhere. Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter, Bobby Engram, Kyle Brady, Joe Jurevicius, Jeff Hardings, Marco Rivera, all of them future NFL players. They steamrolled the Big Ten, as I said, in their first year. They are the only team in modern history to go undefeated, win the Rose Bowl, and not win the national title. Despite their perfect record dominance, they finished number 2 in the final AP and coaches poll behind Nebraska, who also went undefeated. BCS didn't exist yet, so Penn State never got a shot, and it's a shame. And because of that, they are definitely one of the best college football teams ever to not win it all. All right, Pat, who do you got for number 3 and 2?
3, I'm going to do a two-parter just because I can. Let's go. 3, Part A, the Rams 2001.
Oh, yeah.
Greatest show on turf, lost to the Patriots in Tom Brady's first Super Bowl. And that team was almost unstoppable, put up so many points on offense. And then I couldn't decide between them and the 2007 New England Patriots, who, what were they? They were almost 16-0, right? Were they 15-1?
Well, they were 16-0. They were
18-0.
Yeah, they were 16-0, 18-0, and then they lost to
the Giants,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
the Giants.
Yeah.
And then Tyree game, yeah. That was, that's again a team that with Randy Moss, and that was such an explosive offense. So that was kind of a two-parter because they're so similar. Yeah, so I figure I can do that. I can get away with that.
You can,
my number 2 is going to be USC 2005.
Oh yeah,
lost to Vince Young. That team,
Yeah,
Reggie
good
Bush
one.
and
they
Liner,
were so good.
and you just watch them all year. They're like Reggie Bush looked like we did that in joystick jukes. He was so shifty. So much.
Matt Leinart too.
That
Matt Leinart.
Yeah, that would have been Leinart.
Leinart, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, those are my 3 and 2.
Great.
Yeah. Wow, those are good ones.
And you guys probably know my number 1. I mean, you could probably guess. If you can't, I'll give you time to guess.
Oh, okay. Do you want us to guess now or to wait?
No, you get that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You have a lot of time.
All right. So my number 3 is one of the most
2016
painful...
Seattle Sounders.
No, I didn't go any Sounders. Yeah, that's a good one though. I should have. I didn't even think about it.
Their midfield was amazing.
It was.
I blocked it from my mind.
Yeah.
But no, it's the Sonics, and
they only gave up 3 goals all season. The problem is the worst team only gave up 8.
These soccer slights will not stand. They will not stand. No, the Sonics in 1993, they finished number 1, 63-19 record. And we've talked about this in previous pods, but that was the year they lost to the number 8 seed. It became the first time ever that a number 1 lost to a number 8. Denver Nuggets, Dikembe Mutombo, rest in peace. The Sonics were so good that year, and it just felt like everything worked against them in that first round series. And if they get through that, I'm not saying they coast to the finals, but it just felt like that was a team that was structured and set up to do it. And so they didn't, and they obviously became a part of history, becoming the first number 1 seed. But I think it was in part, I put this one in here, is just such a painful memory for me, having them come back and win those last 3 games. My number 2 is the 2001 Seattle Mariners. They were 116.
I really thought that was going to be your number 1. Thought that was going to be your number 1.
16-46. Just an unbelievable year. 59 of those wins, you guys, they won by more than 4 runs. I mean, just absolute dominance the entire year. It was the debut for a young Japanese player named Ichiro Suzuki, AL Rookie of the Year, AL MVP. What a debut season. And I think people forget about that. I mean, comes over from Japan. Nobody knows if this little slap hitter guy is going to be any good. He's just gunning guys from the outfield, making plays, stealing bags, hitting 3, whatever he hit, 50. It just was a phenomenal season. They ended up losing to the Yankees, in part. I guess that's part of my Yankee hate, but just a phenomenal year that fell short. A lot of people view it as a failure, though. I didn't put this as my number 1 because I didn't view that season as a failure. It was so fun as a fan. We won every single night, the entire season. I mean, I don't remember how many series they won, but they won just about every series to go 116-46. I also was a little surprised to see that the Dodgers became the second team ever to win 110 games and then not reach a World Series in 2022. So it's nice to have a little company in our misery in that regard, but Mariners are my number 2.
Yeah, I'm going baseball with my number 3, and I looked long and hard at the Mariners. I had this whittled down about 12 or 13 kind of choices. Pat has mentioned a lot of my honorable mentions, but I went with the 1995 Cleveland Indians. To me, this is one of the most stacked lineups ever to fall short. So they won 100 games, but they only played 144 that season. 144 record in a strike shortened season. Best winning percentage in Major League Baseball, the only AL team ever to win 100 games in a sub 154 game season. If they'd played another 18 games, they'd probably had hit more than 110 as well. They finished 30 games ahead of second place in the AL Central. They had a historically absurd offense. They led the Major League Baseball in runs, hits, homers, batting average, RBI, and slugging percentage, while striking out the fewest times in baseball. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Albert Bell hit 50 home runs and 52 doubles that year, still the only 50-50 season in Major League Baseball history. They had Manny Ramirez hitting 308 with 31 homers, 107 RBI. Kenny Lofton with his Gold Glove and great bat. Throw in Jim Thome, Carlos Baerga, Omar Vizquel, and Eddie Murray. All productive, all-star level players. Oh, yeah, their pitching wasn't too bad either. They had the best ERA, team ERA in the AL that season. They had Jose Mesa posting a 1.13 ERA, 46 saves, 0 losses. Oral Hershiser was lights out in the postseason. They swept Boston. They beat Seattle, the Mariners. They did lose to the Braves. This was the Braves team with Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. They went 7-2 in the American League playoffs before losing a tough World Series in 6 games to those Braves. But offensively, they were overwhelming. Defensively, they were still great. Very deep pitching. To me, there were no weaknesses on this team, and the best baseball team to never win it, in my opinion. And then number 2 is, Pat mentioned, the 2007 New England Patriots. 18-0, then 18-1. They were one stop from the first 19-0 season in NFL history. It slipped away in the final 35 seconds. Perfect regular season. Still the only team to go undefeated in a 16-game schedule. They clinched the AFC East after week 11. They scored 589 points, broke the NFL record for touchdowns with 75. They led the league basically in every statistical category that mattered. Tom Brady won the MVP. Randy Moss was incredible that year. They scored more than 30 points in 12 games, 40 in 4 and 50 in 2. They had 4 straight wins to start the season by more than 20 points. Their defense was actually also underrated. They held opponents to the 4th fewest points in the league that year. Their point differential was plus 315, which is still the highest in NFL history. They obliterated teams 18-1. I still cannot believe that they lost that Super Bowl. It was very close between number 1 and number 2 for me. I did put this as number 2, but it could have easily been my number 1. All right, Pat, what do you got for number 1?
Okay, very similar to your last one. Great offense.
I know it.
35, putting up 35 points a game. Their field goal kicker never missed.
The 99 Vikings, yeah.
Randy Moss was on both squads. To have your field goal kicker be like, I think it was like 42.
I remember watching that game.
He didn't miss an extra point or a field goal all season, and to have the Dirty Birds beat us in Atlanta.
They were a great team. Yeah,
that was tough.
Vikings.
That was a tough one.
They probably would have won the Super Bowl. They probably would have.
They would have played Denver, Elway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
Still a little bitter about it, but
I don't blame you. Yeah, so you guys both called out my number 1 that was not to be my number 1. I was going to call out the David Tyree helmet catch Patriots as my number 1, but I had to do a local flavor, so that I guess is my 1A, 1B. That Patriots team was so good though, and that is still just such a shocking result, and then just to have such a shocking play kind of cap it is, it has to be up there in the top couple. So I had to at least mention it. You guys already did. For me, though, the 95 Seattle Supersonics. We've talked about this in previous pods, but I think people tend to forget the Sonics place because they think, oh, Denver and Dikembe, and they lost that one that I just mentioned. But this Sonics team was so good. And they just happened to be facing off against the Bulls that had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Phil Jackson, and then role players like Steve Kerr, Judd Bushler. Like, they were just stacked, and they won 72 games that year to become the winningest NBA team of all time. So, the Sonics don't face the Bulls, they probably win the championship in 99 out of 100 years. They were that good. And so
one of my honorable mentions was going to be the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. Just if the Bulls aren't in that era, they've got a couple titles.
And also too, I mean, the Bulls are the Sonics and the Jazz also. I mean, because the Sonics were so stacked, and those matchups every year with Malone and Stockton, Jerry Sloan, we're always and Phoenix Suns were kind of in that same mix, right, with Barkley and those great teams, but they all kind of beat up each other in the West. But I mean, the Bulls were just so good, and so it was fun to go. I was able to go there with my dad, and we saw what was it, Game 4, I guess it would have been. Because the Bulls won the first 3 games of the series. We might have been at 3 as well, now that I think about it, that they lost. But anyway, Nate McMillan, team captain, amazing player, turned into a great NBA coach as well. He has a severely sprained ankle. If Nate is healthy, I still maintain the Sonics possibly win that series. So they got to be my number one, just because it's the closest any hometown team I think came that didn't end up winning it, but mostly because the Bulls were just so phenomenal. So painful, but that's my number one.
Yeah. All right. My number one, you mentioned him, Bill. It could easily been 2 and 1 with the Patriots. I went back and forth, but I'm going with the 2015-16 Golden State Warriors. To me, they're the best NBA team ever to not finish it. 73-9, still the best regular season record in NBA history. You mentioned they started the season 24-0. They never lost back-to-back games all regular season. They broke more than 25 NBA records and 10 franchise records. Steph Curry won unanimous MVP, first in league history to do that. They were just elite across the board. Number 1 in scoring, field goal percentage, 3-point shooting percentage, assists, point differential, and offensive rating. They hit 1,000 threes as a team, which was also first. They won 88 total games, regular season and postseason, most in NBA history. They had a 3-1 lead, as you mentioned, in the NBA Finals to the Cavs, and then lost it. They were the first team ever to blow a 3-1 lead in the Finals. And that Game 7 loss to Cleveland was their third straight, their first 3-game losing streak all season long. That's how good they were until they weren't.
Crazy.
And they lost it. So best NBA team ever by far to not win it all. And in my opinion, the best sports team to ever fall short. All right. Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. I'm sure our listeners would debate some of these choices. Would love to hear from some of them as well. Lots of great teams out there that just couldn't close it all, but it proves, I think, how tough it is and how impressive it is to be able to say, hey, we won the championship. So, Bill, before we close out the show, you want to remind all of our listeners about any upcoming pools?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much coming up. I would say go to the main page if you've already logged in. If you haven't, you need help, email us, info@entersandmansports.com. The Masters is next week, you guys, and we've got so much stuff coming. Some fun new pools as well. And one that I'm just going to highlight for this episode 33 is if we talked a lot about it in previous pods with guillotine fantasy football. Well, I've introduced something now to Sandman Pools called guillotine golf. So it's actually 11 people jump into these pools. Hopefully we'll be firing them up all the time. It lasts 10 tournaments. You pick 5 guys. It's based on earnings, and only the lowest person gets booted out. So you're eliminated. And it just goes from 11 to 10, 9, 8 down. And then the last 2 people will get paid. we already filled the first
That
2
sounds
in
fun.
less than 24 hours.
Did
Yeah,
you
so
really?
it's gonna be
Oh, that
fun.
sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
I
so the
love that.
Masters, we'll have those fired up next week for the Masters. We've got Masters Squares, we've got Masters Survivor, Masters Calcutta, Majors Challenge starts next week. So much fun stuff. So yeah, hit us up. Hopefully you get in.
Bill, that could be a format that kind of sweeps the country there. Some guillotine golf leagues. I mean,
guillotine
seriously, like that could get popular. So
I hope so. Yeah,
I
different
hope our
price
listeners are
points.
interested. Yeah, it's easy
Yeah.
to get in. So take a shot. In our website, even our pools page, I love just the improvements
You
we've
like
made
that?
in the
The
last
new
couple
ones? Yeah.
days.
It's awesome.
It's very easy to see the pools you're in. It's easy to see all the pools that are open for you to join. It's got little verbiage up there introing, that week's pools. Very nicely done.
Thanks. Yeah, it's looking good. Exciting.
Yeah, can't wait. And cannot wait for the Final Four this weekend and certainly the Masters next weekend. Great time to be a sports fan and a pools fan. All right. Well, CME Nation, you all just rock. We love having you join us every week. But sadly for today, it is time to exit Sandman Sports. Before we do, though, just a few quick reminders of where to find us. Please follow us, like us, subscribe to us, spread the word. We've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all at Enter Sandman Sports. And of course, our website, EnterSandmanSports.com. Have an amazing weekend, Sandman Nation. Enjoy the Final Four. As always, thanks for joining us. Peace out and take care.
Good luck.